The horizon shuddered as enemy fire struck its shields. Commander Wright gripped her chair as the bridge lights flickered. "Shields at 60%, Lieutenant Patterson reported, his fingers dancing across the tactical console. Enemy vessel, changing course to follow. The triangular ship pursuing them was smaller than the horizon but faster. Its weapons fired strange pulses of energy that seemed to cling to the shields, eating away at them. Bring us around," Wright ordered. "Full power to forward batteries." The horizon banked sharply, its engines straining. All around them, the battle had erupted across the Nalari system. Human ships engaged the strange triangular vessels while evacuation shuttles streaked toward the planet's surface. "They're in range," Patterson said. "Fire." The horizon's main guns blazed. Energy beams sliced through space and struck the enemy ship. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the vessel's hull cracked, dark energy spilling out like blood and water. "Direct hit," Patterson confirmed. "Enemy vessel disabled." "Find us another target," Wright said. On the main view screen, she could see the massive battle unfolding. Admiral Winters and Gamma Group had engaged the knife-shaped mothership. The Defiance looked tiny beside it, yet it fought with furious determination, firing salvo after salvo at the alien vessel. "Commander, we've got incoming distress calls from the surface, called Lieutenant Carlos. Nalari emergency channels are overloaded." "Put them through to Alpha Group," Wright replied. "Captain Chen needs to know where to send her evacuation. Teams." Another explosion rocked the ship. A new enemy vessel had appeared on their flank, its weapons already firing. "Evasive maneuvers," Wright ordered. The horizon rolled, barely avoiding the brunt of the attack. Wright watched as 3 human destroyers moved to intercept the new threat, their combined firepower overwhelming the enemy ship's defenses. "Commander, we're being hailed by a Nalari vessel," Patterson said, surprise in his voice. On screen, the view screen flickered, showing a Nalari face. 4 arms moved frantically in the background, adjusting controls. The alien's blue skin was pale, almost gray with stress, and its large eyes blinked rapidly. "Earth vessel. I am Coordinator Shimmering Waters of the Nalari Defense Council. You came." The translator gave the Nalari's voice a musical quality despite the obvious distress. "Coordinator, this is Commander Wright of the Earth Alliance vessel Horizon. We received your distress call." "The Krell attacked without warning," Shimmering Water said. "They destroyed our outer colonies first, then moved inward. The transmission crackled with interference. "Harvest worlds, strip them of resources and life. We have never faced anything like them." "We're evacuating your people now," Wright assured the coordinator. "Can you tell us anything about their capabilities, weaknesses?" "Their ships are biologically grown, not built. Their central vessel controls the smaller ones somehow. We've observed that when..." The transmission cut off as an explosion flashed behind the Nalari. "Get that signal back," Wright ordered. "Trying, but there's too much interference," Patterson replied. Wright turned to Major Rogers. "Did you hear that? The ships are connected somehow. If we take out the mothership, we might disable the entire fleet," Rogers finished. Wright opened a channel to the Defiance. "Admiral Winters, we have intel from the Nalari. The enemy vessels appear to be biologically linked. The smaller ships may be controlled by the mothership." "Understood, Commander," Winters replied, his voice calm despite the sounds of battle in the background. "We've reached the same conclusion. We're concentrating fire on what appears to be a command node." Wright watched as the Defiance and its escort ships focused their attack on a specific section of the massive alien vessel. For several minutes, nothing seemed to happen. Then suddenly, a pulse of dark energy rippled across the mothership's surface. "Look," Patterson pointed to the tactical display. "The smaller ships, they're losing formation." It was true. The triangular vessels that had been moving with coordinated precision now drifted, their movements becoming erratic. "All Beta Group ships, focus fire on disoriented targets," Wright ordered. "Don't let them regroup." The human fleet pressed its advantage. One by one, the smaller alien ships were disabled or destroyed. On the view screen, Wright could see the mothership trying to retreat, its massive engines glowing as it turned away. "From the planet, they're running," Rogers said. "Not yet, they're not." Wright opened the fleet-wide channel. "Admiral, they're attempting to withdraw." "We see it," Winters replied. "All ships with functioning jump drives move to block their escape route. We need to finish this now." The battle shifted. Human ships maneuvered to surround the mothership, cutting off its retreat. The alien vessel fought back furiously, its weapons tearing through two human cruisers. "We've lost the Valiant and the Dauntless," Patterson reported grimly. Wright felt the loss like a physical blow. Both ships had been part of Beta Group under her command. Hundreds of lives gone in an instant. "Keep firing," she ordered, her voice tight. "Don't let their sacrifice be for nothing." The Horizon joined the attack, its weapons targeting the same command node the Defiance had identified. For 10 long minutes the battle raged. Then, with a soundless flash that temporarily blinded their sensors, the alien mothership's core exploded. "Direct hit to their power source," Patterson shouted over the cheers of the bridge crew. The remaining triangular ships went dark, drifting lifelessly in space. The mothership listed to one side, massive breaches visible in its hull. "All ships cease fire," came Admiral Winters' order. "Prepare boarding parties. I want to know who these Krell are and why they attacked the Nalari." Wright turned to Rogers. "Assemble a team, full combat gear. We don't know what's waiting inside that ship." An hour later, Wright led her boarding party through the dark corridors of the alien vessel. The interior was unlike anything she had ever seen. Organic, almost like walking through the inside of a massive living creature. The walls pulsed faintly with dying energy. "Life signs ahead," reported Lieutenant Kate Williams, the team's medic. Her scanner pointed toward a sealed chamber. Wright signaled her team to take positions, then activated the door mechanism. It slid open with a wet, organic sound. Inside, they found their first Krell. The alien was tall, skeletal, with gray skin stretched tight over a frame that seemed too large for it. 4 black eyes set in a narrow head turned to regard the humans. Around it lay the bodies of Nalari, carefully dissected. "My God," Williams whispered. They were studying them, experimenting on them. The Krell spoke, its voice translated by their comms after a moment of processing. "You are not Nalari. What are you?" "We're human," Wright answered, her weapon trained on the alien. "From Earth." "Earth." The Krell's head tilted. "Unknown. You fight well for an unknown species." "Why did you attack the Nalari?" Wright demanded. "Resources. Food. They were weak. Easy prey." The alien's tone was matter-of-fact, without remorse. "You are not." "Interesting." Wright felt cold anger rising inside her. "The Nalari are under our protection now. Your attacks stop here." The Krell made a sound that might have been laughter. "More will come. The Imperium spans many systems. You have won a battle. Nothing more." Wright looked at the dissected Nalari, bodies, then back at the Krell. "Then we'll win those battles too. That's what Deathworlders do." Admiral Winters stood on the bridge of the Defiance, watching as the combined human fleet formed up around the Nalari homeworld. The data Commander Wright had recovered from the Krell base had proven accurate. 3 massive Krell motherships had jumped into the system just hours ago, each accompanied by dozens of smaller vessels. Against them stood nearly 100 human ships. The entire First Fleet joined now by the Second, including the massive dreadnought Retribution. It was the largest gathering of human military power ever assembled outside Earth's solar system. "Status report," Winters demanded. "All ships in position, Admiral," his tactical officer replied. "The Krell forces are holding at the edge of the system, just beyond the orbit of the outer planet. They're being cautious," Wright observed from her position beside the Admiral. The Horizon had been damaged during their escape from Procyon, so she had transferred temporarily to the Defiance. "They didn't expect resistance on this scale." "Good," Winters nodded. "Let's use that hesitation. Lieutenant Rivera, is your disruption system ready?" Communications Specialist Rivera looked up from her console. "Yes, sir. The Nalari engineers helped refine it. Once activated, it should disrupt the quantum link between the motherships and their support vessels for approximately 8 minutes. That's our window, Winters told the assembled officers. When those smaller ships lose coordination, our forces will engage. The Retribution will lead the attack on the central mothership. The Defiance will take the one on the left flank. Commander Wright, you'll command the strike team against the right flank from the cruiser Endeavour. Wright nodded, though she felt a pang at not commanding the horizon in what might be humanity's most important battle. Winters continued outlining the plan. The Nilari had contributed what combat vessels they could, mainly retrofitted science, ships. But their most important contribution was a biological weapon they had developed specifically to target Krell physiology. We don't deploy it unless absolutely necessary, Winters emphasized. That's not how humanity fights wars. The bridge fell silent as alerts sounded. Admiral, the tactical officer called. The Krell forces are advancing. All ships, battle. Stations, Winters ordered. Rivera, activate the disruption system on my mark. The massive viewscreen showed the Krell fleet moving in perfect formation. The three motherships surrounded by their smaller escorts like a school of predatory fish. They're entering weapons range in 30 seconds, the tactical officer reported. All ships stand by, Winters said calmly. Rivera, mark. Rivera activated her system. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, the perfect formation of Krell vessels faltered. The smaller ships began drifting, their movements suddenly erratic and uncoordinated. It's working, Rivera exclaimed. The quantum link is disrupted. All ships, engage, Winters ordered. Focus fire on the support vessels first. The human fleet surged forward. The battle erupted across the Nilari system, energy weapons and missiles streaking through the void. Wright watched from the Endeavour as her task force moved to engage the rightmost mothership. Target their propulsion systems, she ordered. Disable them first. The human ships were smaller, but more maneuverable than their Krell counterparts. They darted in and out, striking weak points before retreating. It was a tactic born from Earth's naval history, adapted for space. For the first few minutes, the battle went exactly as planned. Dozens of Krell support ships were disabled or destroyed. But then the motherships began to adapt. New defenses activated and strange biological weapons emerged from hidden ports. They're launching some kind of boarding pods, Wright's tactical officer warned, heading for the Sentinel and the Guardian. Intercept those pods, Wright ordered. All Marines prepare for possible boarding actions. Across the system, the battle intensified. The Retribution engaged the central mothership directly, its massive weapons tearing huge chunks from the alien vessel. But the Krell ship fought back fiercely, its biological weapons piercing the dreadnought's armor in several places. We're taking heavy damage, came the report from the Retribution. Engineering decks breached, reactor containment holding but strained. On the Defiance, Admiral Winters made a difficult decision. Deploy the Nilari biological agent to the central mothership only. Let's end this. The weapon was launched, a specially designed missile that penetrated the Krell ship's outer hull, before releasing its payload. The effect was almost immediate. The massive vessel's movements became sluggish, its weapons firing sporadically. It's working, Wright said, watching the tactical display. The central ship is failing. But their victory was short-lived. The two remaining motherships suddenly changed tactics. The left flank vessel turned all its weapons on the Defiance, while the right one accelerated toward the Nilari homeworld itself. They're making a suicide run on the planet, Wright realized with horror. If that ship crashes into the Nilari capital, there was no time to reposition the fleet. The Endeavour and its escorts were the only ships close enough to intercept. All power to engines, Wright ordered. We need to get between that ship and the planet. The Endeavour surged forward, followed by three smaller destroyers. They formed a line directly in the mothership's path, weapons firing continuously. Can't stop it, the tactical officer reported grimly. Its mass is too great. Even if we destroy its engines now, momentum will carry it to the surface. Wright looked at the tactical display, calculating rapidly. There's another way, prepare for ramming speed. Commander, that's suicide, her first officer protested. Not for all of us, Wright replied. I need a volunteer to pilot the ship. Everyone else will evacuate in the emergency pods. Before anyone could respond, the ship rocked violently. The Krell mothership had fired its main weapon, tearing through the Endeavour's shields. Hull breach on decks 3 through 7, reported the damage control officer. We've lost engine control, manual steering only. Wright knew what had to be done. Begin evacuation. Get everyone off this ship now. As the crew rushed to the escape pods, Wright took manual control of the Endeavour. With the engines damaged, she couldn't stop the Krell ship directly, but she could alter its course just enough to miss the planet. Across the system, Admiral Winters watched the situation unfold on his tactical display. "What is she doing?" he demanded as he saw the Endeavour change course, heading directly for the mothership. "Sir," Rivera said quietly, "she's going to use the Endeavour to deflect it." The Defiance was still heavily engaged with the other mothership, unable to provide assistance. Winters opened a communication channel. "Commander Wright, break off your attack. That's an order." "Can't do that, sir," Wright replied, her voice calm despite the alarms blaring around her. "Someone has to make sure this ship misses the planet. The Nilari have suffered enough." The distance closed rapidly. Wright guided the damaged cruiser toward the mothership's propulsion section, aiming for the spot Rivera's data had identified as critical. "It's been an honor, Admiral," Wright said. Then the channel went silent. The impact was visible across the entire system, a brilliant flash as the Endeavour's reactor breached, combining with the Krell ship's power systems in a catastrophic explosion. When the light faded, both vessels were gone, and the trajectory that would have struck the Nilari homeworld was clear. With the central mothership disabled by the biological agent and the right flank ship destroyed, the human fleet concentrated its fire on the remaining vessel. Within hours, it too was disabled, its crew captured. 3 days later, representatives from 27 Commonwealth species gathered on the Nilari homeworld. The remains of the Krell fleet had been collected, their technology studied. The Krell threat had been neutralized, their military capabilities destroyed, their leadership captured, their conquered worlds now being liberated. In the rebuilt Memorial Plaza, work began on a statue depicting a human standing protectively beside a Nilari. The inscription would read in both Galactic Standard and English. "When darkness came, they answered. When hope faltered, they fought. Earth sent its children, and the stars remember." Admiral Winters stood on the observation deck of the Defiance, looking out at the stars. A young lieutenant approached, handing him a data pad. "Sir, long-range sensors have detected another distress signal from beyond the edge of charted space." Winters took the pad, studying the coordinates. Then he straightened his uniform and turned toward the bridge. "Plot a course," he ordered, "and notify the fleet." Humanity had found its purpose among the stars, not merely to survive, but to ensure others could do the same. The Deathworlders would answer the call, wherever it came from. 2 weeks after the battle at the Nilari homeworld, Commander Wright stood in the war room of the Defiance. Around her, holographic displays showed the movements of both human and Krell forces across a section of the galaxy. Admiral Winters had called an emergency meeting of all fleet captains. "The situation has changed," Winters began, his voice grave. "What we thought was an isolated attack has proven to be the beginning of a larger invasion." He gestured, and the hologram expanded to show 17 star systems beyond Nilari space. Red markers pulsed in 12 of them. "These are the systems we now know form the Krell Imperium. Based on data recovered from their ships and interrogation of prisoners, we've learned they've conquered all these worlds within the past decade." Wright studied the display. The pattern was clear. The Krell expanded outward in a straight line, conquering one system before moving to the next. "They're methodical," she observed. "No random attacks. Each conquest provides resources for the next." "Exactly," Winters nodded. "And the Nilari were next on their list. If we hadn't intervened, they would have stripped the entire system bare within a month." Captain Olivia Chen of the hospital ship Mercy spoke up. "We've treated thousands of Nilari civilians. The Krell weren't just killing them, they were harvesting them. Their bodies contain proteins the Krell use for food and medicine." A chill ran through the room. Humans had imagined many first contact scenarios over the centuries, but facing an intelligent species that viewed others as cattle was something from their darkest fiction. "What about the Commonwealth response?" asked Captain Peters. Winter's expression hardened. "The Commonwealth Council has officially recognized the Krell threat, but they're still debating the appropriate response. Their military forces are scattered across 200 systems and would take months to mobilize." "We don't have months," Wright said. "The Krell mothership sent a signal before we destroyed it. They know someone intervened, which is why Earth has made a decision." Winters looked around the room, meeting each captain's eyes. "The Commonwealth may not be ready for war, but we are. Earth is deploying the Second Fleet, including the dreadnought Retribution. We're taking the fight to the Krell." Murmurs filled the room. The Second Fleet represented nearly all of Earth's remaining military strength. If they committed those forces here, far from home, Earth itself would be vulnerable. "Admiral," Wright asked, "has the Defense Council considered the risk to Earth?" "They have," Winters replied, "but they've also considered the risk of waiting. If the Krell finish their conquest of this sector, they'll be even stronger when they eventually reach our system. Better to fight them here, now, with allies." The meeting continued as Winters outlined their strategy. The combined human fleet would launch coordinated strikes against Krell staging areas while smaller teams worked with Nalari scientists to understand Krell technology and find weaknesses. Wright was assigned to lead a special operations team. Their mission: infiltrate a Krell forward base in the Procyon system to gather intelligence on Krell movements and capabilities. As the meeting ended, Wright found herself walking alongside communications specialist Diane Rivera, a young officer who had shown remarkable skill in decrypting Krell transmissions. "Commander, I've been working with the Nalari communication experts," Rivera said. "We think we've found a pattern in Krell fleet movements. Their ships use a form of quantum entanglement to coordinate. If we can disrupt that signal, we could blind their entire fleet," Wright finished. "Bring your findings to my ship at 0800 tomorrow. You're joining my team to Procyon." The next day, Wright's team departed aboard the Horizon. Besides Rivera, she had selected Major Rogers and Lieutenant Williams for the mission, along with a squad of 12 Marines led by Colonel Will Harris. Harris was a veteran of Earth's last civil conflict, his face bearing the scars of close combat. His Marines carried the latest in human military technology, powered armor suits that enhanced their strength and speed. "Never thought I'd be fighting aliens," Harris remarked as they prepared for the mission. "But the principle's the same. Find the enemy's weakness and hit it hard." The journey to Procyon took 4 days. When they arrived, the Horizon stayed at the edge of the system, using its stealth systems to avoid detection. Wright and her team took a smaller shuttle to the moon, where the Krell had established their forward base. The base was built into the side of a crater, its organic architecture blending with the gray lunar landscape. Using Nalari stealth technology, Wright's team approached undetected. "I'm reading 53 Krell life signs," Williams reported, checking her scanner. "And something else. Hundreds of other readings. Not Krell, not Nalari." "Other victims," Wright said grimly. "Stay focused. Our mission is to access their central database and plant Rivera's decryption device." They entered through a maintenance conduit, moving silently through the pulsing organic corridors. The inside of every Krell structure felt alive, as if they were moving through the body of some massive creature. They reached the central chamber without being detected. Rivera immediately went to work on the Krell computer systems, a mix of biological and mechanical components unlike anything humans had built. "I need 10 minutes, she whispered, attaching her device to the pulsing node. "Harris, secure the perimeter," Wright ordered. "Williams, with me. Let's see what else we can learn." Wright and Williams moved deeper into the base. What they found stopped them cold. A massive chamber stretched before them, filled with transparent containers. Inside each one was a different alien species, some still alive, connected to tubes and wires. "They're not just conquering worlds," Williams said, her voice shaking. "They're collecting species, studying them." Wright spotted a container holding several Nalari. Next to it was something unexpected. A container with a partial Earth label visible. That's impossible, she breathed, moving closer. They couldn't have reached Earth yet. Inside the container was a selection of earth plants and small animals, common, laboratory specimens. A data screen beside it displayed information in the Krell language, which their translators partially decoded. Acquired from Commonwealth research vessel. Origin, Earth, Death Classification 9. Cellular regeneration rate exceptional. Potential harvest value, maximum. They know about us, Wright realized. They've been studying Earth specimens from Commonwealth exchanges. Commander, Harris's voice came through her comm. We've got company. Multiple Krell approaching your position. Rivera status? Wright demanded. Almost done. The decryption program is uploading, but I found something else. The Krell, they're planning a massive attack. 3 motherships, heading for the Nalari system. They'll arrive in less than a week. Wright made her decision. Download everything you can. Williams, set charges. We're taking this facility down. As Rivera worked frantically to extract the Krell battle plans, Wright and Williams planted explosives throughout the base. The sounds of fighting reached them. Harris and his Marines engaging the Krell guards. Time to go, Wright ordered as Rivera finished. Harris, fall back to the extraction point. They fought their way out, the Marines' armor giving them an edge over the physically stronger but slower Krell. As they reached their shuttle, Wright looked back at the base. With a press of a button, the charges detonated, collapsing the structure in on itself. The Horizon was waiting at the rendezvous point. As soon as the shuttle docked, Wright gave the order to jump back to Nalari space. We need to warn the fleet, she told Rogers. The Krell are coming in force, and they know exactly what they're facing now. So do we, Rogers replied, looking at the data Rivera had retrieved. And they're about to learn why no one should threaten a death world. Commander Allison Wright stood in the massive briefing room of the Defiance. Around her gathered 46 other ship captains, their faces grim and determined. The holographic display in the center of the room showed the Nalari system, 7 planets orbiting a yellow sun. 3 of the planets glowed red. Those are the worlds we've lost contact with, Admiral Winters explained, his voice filling the room. Based on the last transmissions, we believe the attack began 10 days ago. Wright studied the display. The Nalari homeworld was still marked in green, but it was clear the enemy was advancing methodically through the system. What do we know about the hostile force? Asked Captain Maya Peters of the heavy cruiser Thunderbolt. Winters gestured, and the hologram changed to show a massive ship unlike anything Wright had seen before. It was shaped like a blade with sharp edges and a dark hull that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. This is the only clear image we have, Winters said, taken by a Nalari observatory before they lost contact with their outer colony. Size estimates put it at roughly twice the length of the Defiance. A murmur ran through the assembled officers. The Defiance was already one of the largest ships in human space. Are we dealing with a known species? Wright asked. No, Winters replied. The Commonwealth has no record of this design or anything similar. A new figure stepped forward, tall and bird-like with iridescent feathers that rippled with anxiety. The Vexillian ambassador, Sunrise over Mountains, represented the Commonwealth's closest embassy to Earth. The Commonwealth Council expresses deep concern over this military mobilization, the ambassador said, his translator converting the musical clicks and whistles of his native tongue. Regulations clearly state that intervention requires majority approval. Winters faced the ambassador with a steady gaze. Ambassador, with all due respect, how long would it take to get that approval? The Vexillian's feathers flattened. The full process requires presentations from all concerned parties, risk assessments, historical precedent reviews, approximately 3 standard months. And what happens to the Nalari in those 3 months? Winters asked. The Council has already dispatched diplomatic envoys to attempt communication with the unknown species. Wright couldn't help herself. Diplomatic envoys? While planets are being destroyed? The ambassador's head dipped slightly. Our records indicate that 94% of first contact situations are resolved peacefully when proper protocols are followed. And the other 6%? Captain Peters asked. The ambassador did not answer. Winters turned back to the assembled officers. The Earth Alliance has made its decision. We're going in. The fleet will divide into 3 task forces. He outlined the plan. Alpha Group would focus on evacuation efforts, led by Captain Olivia Chen on the hospital ship Mercy. Beta Group, including Wright's Horizon, would engage enemy support vessels and provide screening for the main force. Gamma Group, centered around the Defiance, would confront the primary threat. Make no mistake, Winters concluded. This is not a peacekeeping mission. This is combat. We go in fast, we hit hard, and we give the Nulari time to evacuate if necessary. Questions? There were none. As the briefing ended, Wright felt a hand on her shoulder. She turned to see Flight Engineer Sam Martinez, an old friend from the academy. Allison, good to see you, he said. His face looked older than she remembered, new lines around his eyes. Though I wish it were under better circumstances. You're with the fleet now? She asked. Martinez nodded. Half these ships were in mothballs a week ago. When the call came, they pulled anyone with experience out of retirement. The Intrepid hasn't seen action in 15 years. Wright felt a chill. Earth was committing everything to this mission. Are they battle-ready? They'll hold together, Martinez said, but his eyes showed concern. The real question is whether it'll be enough. We've never faced anything like this before. Neither has anyone else in the Commonwealth, Wright replied. Maybe that's why they need us. Martinez smiled slightly. Deathworlders to the rescue. It was a term most humans disliked, classifying Earth as a death world because of its high gravity, extreme climate variations, and abundance of predators. But right now, Wright wore the label with pride. Humans had evolved on a planet that tried to kill them daily. They understood fighting for survival in a way many Commonwealth species never had to. Back aboard the Horizon, Wright briefed her crew. Their role would be dangerous, running interference and taking out smaller enemy vessels to protect the main assault groups. The jump to Nulari space will take 27 hours, she told them. I want all systems at full combat readiness when we arrive. We don't know what we're facing, but these people asked for our help and we're going to deliver. As the crew dispersed to their duties, Major Rogers lingered behind. Permission to speak freely? He asked. Wright nodded. We're violating about a dozen Commonwealth protocols. If this goes wrong, if we do nothing, an entire species dies, Wright said. Some rules are worth breaking. Rogers smiled. Just making sure we're on the same page. The next day, the fleet prepared for the jump to Nulari space. Wright stood on her bridge watching the final preparations on the tactical display. Lieutenant Carlos counted down from the navigation station. Jump in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The stars blurred as the Horizon and 46 other ships tore through the fabric of space. The journey was silent, tense. Crew members checked and rechecked systems, weapons, and shields. Many wrote messages to families back home just in case. When they emerged in the Nulari system, Wright's first thought was that they were too late. The 4th planet showed visible scarring, with fires burning across its surface visible even from orbit. The Nulari capital city was surrounded by smoke. Above it hovered the massive vessel they had seen in the briefing, the blade-shaped ship that dwarfed even the Defiance. But there were also signs of resistance. Smaller Nulari ships, clearly not designed for combat, fought desperately against strange triangular vessels that swarmed like insects. Multiple enemy contacts, reported Lieutenant Patterson from Tactical. Reading 30 smaller vessels plus the main ship. Life signs on the planet? Wright asked. Millions, confirmed the sensor officer. They're still fighting down there. Admiral Winter's voice came through the fleet channel. All ships, commence operation. Alpha Group, begin evacuation routes. Beta Group, engage those fighters. Gamma, with me. Let's introduce ourselves. Wright felt the Horizon power up as shields and weapons came online. Around them, the human fleet moved with practiced precision, breaking into their assigned groups. Take us in, Lieutenant, Wright ordered. Target the nearest enemy vessel. As the horizon accelerated toward battle, Wright thought of Earth. So far away. Humans had spent centuries fighting each other before finding peace. Now those hard-learned lessons of war would be put to use defending others who had never needed to learn them. The Deathworlders had arrived, and they had brought their teeth. The stars looked different from the observation deck of the Earth Alliance vessel Horizon. Commander Allison Wright stood with her hands clasped behind her back, watching the void. After 15 years in space, she still found comfort in the silence. Earth was just another point of light from here, but its gravity pulled at her all the same. "Commander?" A voice broke her thoughts. Lieutenant George Patterson stood at attention behind her. His uniform was crisp despite being 10 hours into his shift. "We've picked up something unusual." "Show me," Wright said, following him to the bridge. The Horizon was not the biggest ship in Earth's fleet, but it was one of the fastest. Its sleek design housed a crew of 150 humans, all trained for deep space patrol along the edge of Commonwealth territory. Humans were still newcomers to the galactic community. Only 30 years had passed since first contact, and many alien species remained wary of the creatures from the planet classified as a death world. On the bridge, officers worked quietly at their stations. Screens displayed star charts and sensor readings. Patterson led Wright to the communications console. "It came through on an old frequency," he explained. "Most ships don't even monitor this band anymore." Wright leaned over his shoulder. "Play it." Static filled the speakers. Then, barely audible, "Help. Extinction level threat. Please. Can you clean it up?" Wright asked. Patterson shook his head. "This is the best we can do. The message repeats every 90 seconds. We've traced it to the Nalari system." Wright frowned. The Nalari were a peaceful species, known for their advanced biological sciences but minimal military capabilities. Their four-armed bodies and soft blue skin made them look delicate to human eyes. They had been among the first to welcome Earth into the Commonwealth, offering medical technology in exchange for cultural exchange. "How old is the message?" she asked. "Hard to tell. Given the distance and interference, it could be anywhere from 2 days to 2 weeks. Wright straightened up. "Send our acknowledgement on all frequencies. Let them know we received their distress call and are relaying it to Earth Command." "Yes, ma'am." Wright returned to her captain's chair and opened a secure channel to Earth. Admiral Kelly appeared on screen, her gray hair pulled back in a severe bun. Deep lines around her eyes showed years of difficult decisions. "Commander Wright, your patrol isn't scheduled to report for another week. We've received a distress signal from the Nalari system, Admiral. Authenticated and verified." Wright sent the audio file, requesting permission to investigate. Admiral Kelly listened to the message, her expression darkening. She typed something off-screen, then looked up. "Hold position, Commander. I need to consult with the Defense Council." The screen went dark. Wright looked at her crew. "Now we wait." 3 hours passed. The bridge crew remained at their stations, tension building with each minute. Finally, the communication console beeped. "Incoming transmission from Earth Command. Priority Alpha," Patterson announced. Admiral Kelly's face appeared on the main view screen. Behind her stood 3 members of the Earth Defense Council. "Commander Wright, your new orders are as follows. You are to proceed immediately to coordinates being transmitted to your navigation officer. There you will rendezvous with the First Fleet. This is now a Category 1 rescue operation. First contact protocols are suspended." Wright blinked in surprise. Category 1 meant full military response. The First Fleet was Earth's main combat force, with ships that dwarfed the Horizon. "Admiral, with respect, the Commonwealth has strict regulations about military intervention in member worlds. The Council is aware, Commander. The Commonwealth was notified of our intentions 10 minutes ago." Kelly's voice was firm. "The Nalari helped us when we needed allies. We will not abandon them now." "Understood, Admiral." Setting course for the rendezvous point. As the transmission ended, Wright turned to her navigation officer. "Lieutenant Carlos, plot the fastest course to these coordinates." "Course plotted, Commander. ETA 19 hours at maximum speed." "Do it." Wright pressed the ship-wide communication button. "All hands, this is Commander Wright. We have new orders. The Horizon is joining a rescue operation to the Nalari system. I need everyone at their stations and ready for potential combat situations. This is not a drill." She released the button and turned to her first officer, Major Ben Rogers. His face showed the same mixture of concern and determination she felt. "Been a while since we've seen action," he said quietly. "The Nalari have no significant defense forces," Wright replied. "If they're calling for help, the situation must be dire. You think it's pirates? Or maybe one of the Outer Rim groups testing Commonwealth borders?" Wright shook her head. "Pirates don't cause extinction-level events, and border skirmishes don't usually target peaceful worlds first." The Horizon jumped to faster-than-light speed, stars blurring outside the viewports. During the journey, Wright reviewed everything they knew about the Nalari. 6 planets in their home system, 3 colonized, population of approximately 8 billion. Their technology focused on biological sciences and environmental engineering. They had no natural predators on their homeworld and had evolved as cooperative communities. In other words, they were everything humans were not. 19 hours later, the Horizon dropped out of FTL at the rendezvous point. The view screen filled, with ships, dozens of them, human ships. "My God," Rogers whispered. "They've mobilized the entire First Fleet." Wright had never seen so many combat vessels in one place. Cruisers, destroyers, carriers, all bearing the Earth Alliance insignia. At the center of the formation floated the massive flagship Defiance, its hull bristling with weapon systems. "Incoming transmission from the Defiance," Patterson reported. Admiral Frank Winters appeared on screen. His weathered face had earned him the nickname Old Stone among the fleet. "Commander Wright, your ship was first to receive the Nalari distress call. You'll be taking point on the advance team." "Yes, sir. What intelligence do we have on the situation?" "Limited. Commonwealth sources report 3 Nalari worlds have gone dark. Communication blackout followed by energy signatures consistent with orbital bombardment. We're dealing with an unknown hostile force with significant military capability." Wright felt her stomach tighten. "And the Commonwealth response?" Winter's expression hardened. "They've scheduled a council meeting for next week to discuss options." "Next week?" Rogers couldn't hide his shock. "That's why we're here, Major," Winters replied. "Humanity remembers what it's like to stand alone against the darkness. We're not letting the Nalari face it by themselves." He looked back at Wright. "Report to the Defiance in 1 hour for tactical briefing. We jump for Nalari space at 0600. The transmission ended. Wright looked at her bridge crew, seeing their tension and resolve. "You heard the Admiral," she said. "Prepare the ship for combat operations." As her crew carried out their orders, Wright returned to the observation deck for a moment of quiet. Soon they would face an unknown enemy, with unknown capabilities. But one thing was certain: the Deathworlders were answering the call.